whatever, ask them, or we can have a question and answer period after, whatever you like, but stop me if you want to ask a question. I was like a lot of kids growing up, I just wanted to play in the NHL. I went through the process of, playing minor hockey and here, and then I was age 15 and moved away from home to play hockey in Toronto, and I knew that was one of the steps you had to take to make it in the NHL. Played junior hockey in St. Catharines Blackhawks. They're affiliated with Chicago. I was owned by the Chicago Blackhawks from the time I was 15. When I went to St. Catharines, I think, as far as I know, I was the only guy that was married playing junior hockey. My wife and I got married. We'd gone together since we were 13. Got married. In that first year, I told her to get a teaching job somewhere. She's a school teacher, just got out of teacher's college. I said, get a job somewhere near St. Catharines so we could go there, because all I had was a tryout. So I was hoping I would make it. So anyway, I went to St. Catharines and made it. And we had a good team that year. Marcel Dion was on that team that year. He was a 16-year-old Frenchman that didn't speak any English. We had a lot of fun with him. And guys like Dick Redmond played in that team. The guy Al McDonough, Rick Dudley played on that team at that time. And Dennis O'Brien was another guy that had a NHL career. So we had a good team, and we went right to the finals and lost against the Montreal Junior Canadiens. So that was a great experience. Turned pro the next year after that. I could only go to the Chicago Blackhawks. I didn't go in a draft. So I went to their minor league team in Dallas. They were called the Dallas Blackhawks, the Central Hockey League. And I ended up playing 2 years there before I got my big break to go to Pittsburgh. I was drafted by the Penguins in 70-71 season. And I went there. Red Kelly was my coach at that time, and he gave me, as a rookie, all the ice time a rookie could ever ask for. And he just seemed to like the way he played, and I was very appreciative of Red for that. And I ended up playing the first time in Pittsburgh for 7 years, had some good years there, played in 2 All-Star games while I was there, and I was picked to be a member of Team Canada in '76. Never played in any games. I think I was there because they were worried about Bobby Orr's knees. And fortunately for everybody, Bobby Orr's knees held up for the tournament. He was the MVP, and I didn't play. But I was certainly glad to be picked and associated with that group of guys. That was a great team at that time. And Daryl Sittler scored the winning goal during that series, and that was a great thrill. So I was in Pittsburgh for those 7 years. Got traded to Toronto. I was traded for Randy Carlyle and George Ferguson. Went to Toronto. Those were the Harold Ballard years. Toronto wouldn't have been my first pick to go to. I'd heard enough about the Leafs and what was going on there, but I knew Daryl Sittler and Lenny McDonald from the Team Canada experience, and so I was eager to really go there, and because of those guys, we had a decent team then too, with Jorge Salming and Mike Palmetier, and so had another good year, made the playoffs, and after that I was hurt most of that year. I separated my shoulder. Shouldn't have played with it all year, kept dislocating it. And they kept wanting me to play, and so I said, yeah, I'll play, but I didn't play great by the end of the year. I had to get it operated on the end of the year. And so that was, I should have not played, actually. I should have just got my shoulder fixed, but it hasn't been right since, so I guess it doesn't matter. But anyway, after 2.5 years with the Leafs, I was traded back to the Penguins. And I went back there. I was 32 years old.
Had you had shoulder surgery by that time?
I'd had shoulder surgery, and I hurt my knee with the Leafs too, and I was out for a bit with that. But anyway, I went back to Pittsburgh, and I knew that I was probably nearing the end of my career, so I planned. I didn't move the whole family down there. I finished the year out myself, and the family just came down to visit, and I retired at the end of the year. So that's kind of my hockey story. You got any questions about that, or? Yes?
When you talked about Chicago owning you at 15, are you talking about that C form type thing? Now,
Right.
as a player wanting to make the NHL, you're eager to sign something, but everybody seemed to know the restrictions of what the offer was. Like Chicago had the choice if they wanted to send you to the minors or whatever, they could do that. You had no freedom, so to speak.
That's right.
But all the players jumped at that anyway.
Yeah, because when you're 15 years old and you want to play in the NHL, and you have a representative from the NHL team come to visit you and say, look, we're really interested in you, we would like you to sign this form, you're kind of happy to do it. I know I was. Like, all I wanted to do was play hockey, so someone's interested in you as a 15-year-old kid, I signed the thing. I shouldn't have, but I signed it. So that was the only team I could have gone to. When I turned pro, I probably could have got more money if I had them, because I could have gone to other teams, and so I probably would have been a lot better not to, but I did it. That's part of history now.
And like you say, most guys did. You know,
Oh yeah,
we're
lots
eager
of guys,
to sign.
Lots of guys did that. Yeah, I don't know. Did you sign one of those Seymour?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, back then, I can tell you a little bit. My first NHL contract when I went to Pittsburgh was $13,500.
What year?
That was in '70. I was really happy to get it because minimum wage was $12,000. My dad at that time was only making $8,000, so I thought, man, $13,500, yes. I did it big. You know, so. But those were back in the days when you had to prove yourself. You had to. Rookies didn't get any money. Bobby Orr signed for right around the same amount too. I mean, I think they've got his contract down in the Bobby Orr Hall of Fame there, and it's like for $15,000 or something like that. I mean, it's crazy. So you prove yourself, and then you got big money. You know, like you just get better money. I know. Like the second year, I went from $13,500 to $30,000 or something the second year, and then after that, it's like doubled, and it just keeps getting better as long as you have good years. So those were the kind of days it was. Yeah, like today, guys out of junior, they're millionaires before they even play a game. You know, like it's pretty cool. Yes.
You talked about injuries in terms of shoulder and knee. What about concussions and head injuries? Did you experience them, and what's your perspective in hindsight in terms of the sport you
Well, I didn't wear a helmet until my very last year, and the only reason I wore a helmet then is because my kids had to wear helmets when they played. They said, "Dad, if we have to wear a helmet, why don't you?" I didn't have a really good answer, so my last year I played, I wore a helmet. I wore one of those, like Gretzky wore one of those Jafas that doesn't protect you anyway. But anyway, but concussions, we barely knew what they were back then. I mean, Bob and I used to laugh at each other, and the guys, you just say, "Oh, you got your bell rung." You know, you can hardly make it back to the bench, and you're woozy, and you just get your bell rung, and you sit there and miss a shift or two, and then you're back out there, and you know, you have headaches for a while and whatever, and that's just the way it was. I mean, it's nothing like it is now. So in hindsight, sure, we should have wore helmets, but we didn't. When I broke into the NHL, I was told that you shouldn't wear a helmet because if they had to pick between you and another guy, and one guy wore a helmet and one guy didn't, they'd always pick the guy that didn't. because they wanted to sell the game. They wanted everybody to know what the guy looked like more, like. So we were kind of told it's better not to wear them. So that's kind of the way we got into the game.
Can I ask a follow-up? Ken Dryden, in a recent book, has written about the idea of eliminating head contact in the game entirely. What's your perspective? Is that realistic for the NHL? Is it would it be good for the game?
I don't really think it's realistic. I mean, you can look at replays time and time again, and it's really hard to tell whether the guy really targets the guy's head or whether he's just trying to do his job and hit the guy.
There's a lot of replays where you can see.
Yes, some of them
Go
you
right
can,
into the
yeah,
guy's chest.
some of them you can see, but some of you can't. And
But that's because there's no consequences.
yeah.
I would speed if I wouldn't get a ticket.
Yeah.
I did, got one.
Did you ever have any offers from the World Hockey Association? Because that was your era. They came in
Yeah.
1972. Did anybody come after you?
Yeah, I was owned by a couple of teams that I'd heard of, but I never ever gave that a consideration. I just wanted to play in the NHL.
Okay.
Never ever even went to talk contract or anything.
Who was your agent?
Al Eagles.
That's your problem.
Well,
We could ask you a lot of questions about that.
yeah, you can. But Al got me some good contracts. And Al could get you placed. If you wanted to move from a team or something, Al could get you moved. And that's why I went with Al. I know a lot of stuff has been said about Al. He's done a lot of wrong things, but in his heyday, he was a good guy to have. He just made some bad choices. Yeah.
Dave, you had the opportunity to play with Michel Briere?
No, he was killed in that car accident just before I got there. He had a great year, and then he was killed. Yeah.
You mentioned the 76 team. I've always contended that's the best hockey team ever assembled. What's your thought on that?
Well, yeah, a lot of people have said that. A great amount of talent on the team. Didn't have quite the impact as the 72 team, but I mean the comeback that the 72 team did was just amazing. But there's certainly a lot of people think that there's more talent on the 76 team, which
Did they gel as a team? Would it have been effective as a team, or were there not enough pucks for the amount of talent?
I think you just have to gel at the right time.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at teams that are in the finals of the NHL now.
Yeah.
You gel at the right time, and things go good, and you get hot goaltending, and you make it into the finals. So that's the same type of thing with any team, really. Yes.
How did they deliver the news to you that you didn't make the team? Did they just put a list of players up who made the team, or did they have a little meeting with you?
And for 76?
Yes.
They called you in. We were called in and told us. And, I mean, they always kept it fairly positive. I mean, we're all good players gathered there to play for your country, and they always.
Your teammate Jean Pronovo didn't have a good reaction to it, though, did he?
No, there were some of the guys that were cut like me. They spoke up and thought it was unfair and all that, but I didn't. I knew people would want to see a guy like Bobby Orr play more than me, so I was fine with just being a part of the team. I was happy to be there. Yes.
Was Ostergaard with you on the Dallas team?
Yes, he was. He played there for a lot of years. There was, in Dallas, there was a group of older players, veteran players that had played there for a lot of years. Some of the guys there didn't really want to leave Dallas. Nice city, could golf all winter. In the league, you flew everywhere you went, and there's no long bus trips, so the guys really liked to play in Dallas. It was a good spot to play if you had to play in the minors. Yes.
That 76 team, was that the team in Vienna?
No, it was here in Canada, yeah.
But they didn't play on international ice. Do you think
No.
would it have made a difference if they played on international ice?
Could have been, but I think that team, we were stacked with talent, I think.
Yeah.
It would have. So we'll, yes,
Sorry, when I was finding a hockey card for you to sign here today, I was looking through there. You're not in the 79, 78 or 79, 80 set. Is that something that, as a hockey player, you would know, and it's like, oh man, I didn't make the cut, or it just you didn't know that?
in the hockey cards?
Yeah, you miss a year.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So that $100 or whatever you got didn't make a difference.
We never got anything.
Okay.
So now that you know, does it piss you off?
No,
There was OPG in those, yeah.
yeah. I didn't even know that. Yeah.
I've asked this to another former player. If there was something about today's hockey, except the money, that you could have had when you were a player, what would you like to have? What would you have liked to have?
That's a
Two-line
good
pass.
question.
Your own plane.
I liked some of the rule changes they made. I'm with Mary here. I didn't like Bobby Clark much. We'd go into Philadelphia and get pounded there all the time. So I really liked the not hitting from behind. We used to they'd throw it in your corner and just come in and just hit you from behind. I didn't like that too much. The other thing I liked about this game was when they brought the delayed offside in. That speeded the game up. I would have really liked to play with that rule too, but some of the rule changes they made I didn't like. I mean, half the penalties that they call now never would have been called in Boston my time. I mean, you just touch a guy's hands and you get a penalty.
What about eliminating the red line?
Yeah,
Would you like
yeah,
that?
I was good with that.
I bet.
Yeah, I'm good with that too.
You compare the gloves nowadays with those old leather Coopers, there's no comparison.
Yeah. Well,
Of course, the other ones weigh 10
we used to
pounds.
have the gloves up to here.
Yeah.
We used to get slashed so much. And now you don't get slashed anymore. They wear those little wee tiny things that leave a lot of open space here but you can handle the puck a lot better with those little gloves. Okay, we're gonna let Bob speak here pretty soon. Anything?
Yeah, you mentioned Marcel Dion at St. Catharines. He went to high school in Welland at a place called Confederation, the French high school. And I had the distinction of having raced Marcel in a 220 race in track and field, and I came second. But by a lot. But I wonder if you could just tell us for a minute about the caliber of Junior A hockey back then. You said you got beat up by Montreal Junior Canadiens.
Yeah.
Talk about the caliber of play.
Well, like back then, the OHL was just the junior league in Ontario. Now everybody's got a junior A team. So the caliber back then was a lot better than junior A. The OHL is still pretty good, but when you looked at the guys in the team, like Montreal had a stacked team. That was LaFleur era, and they had Gilbert Perreault and J.P. Bordelot and
Houle and Tardif.
Houle and Tardif.
I went to those games. They used to
Randy
get 20,000
Robert. I mean,
people
just
in.
on and on. They had a great team.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
but I think it was better then. But just because there was fewer teams, that series against Montreal Junior Canadiens, we played in the Forum in front of 18,000 people.
There were actually more.
We set a
They
record.
squeezed people in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we set a record in the Forum.
Yeah, I was there.
You were there?
Oh yeah, it was incredible.
It was
There
unbelievable.
wasn't you.
So, he didn't like Jim Gregory at all, who was the GM at the time in Toronto. And he says, they keep bugging me, they want me to sell your contract to them, and he says, I won't give those buggers anything, because he didn't like them. So, at the end of the year, I find out I'm going to St. Louis. So, go down to St. Louis. We have a training camp in, where the heck, I think it's Flint, Michigan. And So things didn't go too badly, and geez, I was scoring goals beginning of the season. First exhibition game, we played Philly. And I said, this is great, because I chased Schultz off the ice when he used to play for the Tidewater, I think it was the American League.
Tidewater Ties.
Yeah, and I think that's who he was with. And the only thing I remember about that team is when we went down there, they used to play the Orange Blossom Special. What's the song that they played in the warm-ups? But, so we're playing Philly in St. Louis, and all of a sudden, Schultz supposed to be a tough guy. Well, took 3 punches to put him on his rear end the first fight. We're in the penalty box, and he's yelling and screaming from the penalty box, and I'm ignoring him, and he says, we're gonna go as soon as we get on the ice. That's all I heard from him. So, period ends, doors open, he's left his gloves right in the penalty box, so I stayed out, dropped mine, 2 punches, put him down. And I said, you wanna get up? I said, maybe I only need 1 this time. But, went through him, Dornhofer, who else? Selesky, I almost choked him, tried to choke him to death. Remember that? Didn't like any of those guys. Just from Clark on down. I used to give Clark a smack every chance I could. I was just hoping he'd say, go get him for me. I was just waiting, because I went by and challenged the whole bench, I don't know, a number of times. And but anyway, the time with Selesky was funny. Harvey Bennett played for us in Tutol, and he had what, a 3rd or 4th degree black belt. I mean, he was 6'4", probably 225, 230. He's a gorilla. But he showed me a couple things. So when you go to grab a guy, if you're not fighting or whatever, you grab him. He says 30 seconds. He says, I can teach you how to knock him right out. And so I said, oh, sounds good to me. So I guess Harvey was fighting with somebody behind him, and I think it was that time or another time, but I grabbed Selesky at center ice, and I didn't like this guy at all. I grabbed him by the top of the jersey, twisted it around, and Harvey said, you get it up tight enough, grab enough of his jersey, twist your knuckles up, cut the carotid artery off. 30 seconds later, his legs just give out. So I thought it was great. I kept telling him to take the first swing. I said, do me a favor, swing. I'll give you the first shot. I said, because then I'm going to put you in the hospital. And didn't have to, because he almost passed out. And, so from that on, Schultz just says, well, all you can do is choke people. And I says, well, I said, I'm going to hand this like that. I said, it sure beats breaking my knuckles on a cement head like you. So, they talk about concussions. I've had 7 concussions. And they say, the choice goes, the guy that has a helmet, doesn't have a helmet, they want you to be tough, and they want you to be able to stand up and everything else. I wore a helmet in one game with Chicago, one of Stan Mikita's 8 crate helmets.
We used to call them Q-tips.
Oh, it was the worst thing I ever had. I got tripped in Vancouver going in. The helmet hit the goalpost. If I hadn't had the helmet on, it would have missed. And then I went head first into the boards. And I came to when they were trying to put me on a gurney. And they said that there's just no way they're going to get me on that. But another short story about getting knocked out. Dennis Oucher had a knack of coming across the blue line, and he'd drop his shoulder and he'd catch these guys right here. He hit Lou Nanny so hard one night. Nanny was down in the blue line, and we were all standing around. He didn't know where he was. Doctors come out on the ice. I'm standing there, still abs is standing there, I don't know who else was there. But they come down and they say, how many fingers? And they say 2, you're good. Get back to the game. Well, I was asking Lou this. He says, how many fingers? Do you know where you are? What day it is? This and that. And still up says, Doc. He said, with Lou, ask him what the price of gold is. He said, if he knows that, he said, he's okay. Lou Nanny had a habit. He was very, very frugal with his he screws a nickel to the beaver crap. But all in all, I had about 13, 15 years playing pro hockey, most of it in the minors, 6 years in the NHL. We've lived here, there, and everywhere. Got to find out where I wanted to live, where I didn't want to live. Couldn't wait to get out of the States, but raising a family and trying to earn a living. And then I had a few medical setbacks, so that made things a little tougher. And finally 4 years ago, or 5 years ago, my son came here and Point of Barrel, where his business partner's brother owns half of an island over in Schwanaga Bay. So he called me and he said, "You got to see this place, Dad." He says, "That's great." He said, "It smells like Canada." I said, "Oh, really?" He said, "Yeah." He says, "Fresh air, clean, you smell the pine." He said, "Oh." So we were living in Maine at the time, and I said, "Well," so I searched online for about 6 months, and here we are. Couldn't wait to get out of there. It's been an experience, and I don't know. Some guys make it with a finesse like Davey. Other guys make it because they're not afraid to drop their gloves and go with people. And the one thing I find kind of funny is that I used to look in the programs, and they had me down at 6'2". I was 6'1" when I was 12. I was 6'2" by the time I was 14. They had me down as 205 pounds. The only time I reached 205 pounds is when I had the first cancer, and I went up to 253 pounds. And I used to start the season, I was probably about 185, and I finished the season about 180, 181. But they always had me at 205. And I said, "Well, I only wish." And I wish I could have about 4 more inches. Was at the Northwestern Ontario Sports Hall of Fame this summer. And Chris Pronger was being inducted, and I stood beside him, and he's 6'6", he's probably about 250. And I saw the pictures of us standing together, and I said, "I look like a dwarf." I told him, "Chris, I said, if I was your size, I'd still be out there throwing guys in the stands." But anyway, if anybody has any questions, go ahead.
Yeah, well, 2 things. Do you guys still play hockey?
I quit after I hit 65.
No? So the second question is, have you written an autobiography, or are you thinking of it?
Who'd want to read it?
I think
I would.
great
My wife keeps saying that, and I said,
Really?
"You know," I said, "they laugh me right out of the country."
No, I think it'd be great,
Yeah.
really.
Did you ever have a fight with the other Bob Kelly?
No, I'll tell you a story about that. We went into Philly one time, and that's when Harvey got in a fight in the bench carrying brawl. And I saw Philly go, and I went over the boards. I ended up with Bob Kelly. I had a separated shoulder at the time. And Mark Boylo, who is our illustrious coach. Talking about Dumb and Dumber. He was both. But anyway, he said, "We got to dress you anyway." He says, we want you on the bench. So anyway, brawl breaks out. Bob Kelly and I are standing out in center ice, and I got a hold of him. He's got a hold of me, and I said, "We're going to sit this one out." He said, "Suits me." So we had the alumni tournament in Niagara Falls. Philly's there. And I'm talking to Bob Kelly. He's one of the funniest guys I ever saw. He's just a character. But I said, "Do you remember that time the bench carrying brawl?" He says, "Yeah, you and I." He says, "We never did have a go." And I said, "Well, that night I had a separated shoulder." He says, "Shit, now you tell me?" He says, "Boy," he says, "I sure would have gone with you that night."
You mentioned earlier you were working in paper with Ray Aduno.
No, Ray Aduno was one of our centermen playing for the Port Arthur Mars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I worked at a.
Because I was going to say, I think he's a little younger.
Ray?
Yeah.
No, he's
Or Rick is, one or the other.
Rick is younger than I am.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, it's like Ab Cabin. There's so many cabins around, you don't know who's who.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
You have a very unique nickname. Who tagged you with it, and when did it happen?
1976. '69, Providence, Rhode Island, George Patrick Duffy. He was the public relations guy for the Rhode Island Reds in the American League. And I guess, from what he told me, he said there was a guy that he knew when he was in the Navy, that was his nickname, and he was the fleet boxing champion. And he tagged me with that, and it stuck. I've been called about other things though too.
You mentioned you played with Herbie Carp. How many years did you play with?
Just the 1 year in Rochester.
Oh,
Yeah, Carpy's a good guy, good centerman. A lot better than I was a winger. Yeah,
Had a reunion last year for the 67 Marbles,
yeah,
and your name came up a few times.
I can imagine.
They were all, most of the team was there. It was actually funny, they took a group shot. They honored them on the ice at the Rico Center and stuff. And they sent Ray and Juno the team picture that they took. So Ray's comment was, how do we lose to these old guys? You know?
Yeah. Brian Glennie, Bob Wooden, I think was the goaltender.
Yes, Bob was a good guy.
Trying to think who else. There's another, trying to think of who the other guy fought.
Cam Crosby.
Cam Crosby, yeah, he was out going after Nuno. Ray Nuno's 5'9", 140 pounds soaking wet. Crosby's 6'2" or 3", about 200. And I went over the boards and went right after him, dragged him off of him, and then turned him around and just gave him a beating. It wasn't too many. Like I said, I ended up a training camp with all these guys the next year. And boy, were they ever nice to me. It's amazing what fear can do.
Yeah, Cam was not at the reunion. I don't know if he's not well or whatever. He sent his son.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. This guy is huge. He looks like
Godzilla.
Cam Crosby's.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah, Cam was not there.
He was no midget either. No.
Big guy.
Yeah. That it? Yep.
I got a ton of questions.
Yeah, you go.
Got one in the back here.
Your views or perspective of today's hockey, I mean, you were at the early stage of the expansion in the NHL, and teams came in left and right, but the old teams were the one that kept winning. Like this year, we had a new team in the NHL, and they're on the verge of winning the Stanley Cup.
They're gonna win it.
From your perspective,
I hate to see Ovechkin win that thing.
yeah, but is it good for
You have to
the
shake hands
hockey
with Donald
players?
Trump.
Is it bad for the owners?
No,
Is it great
I think-
for the league? Is it bad?
I think
for
it's
the
good
league?
for the league. You know, the one thing is and Davey well aware that these guys that all get drafted by Vegas, you got to get in there and you look at each other and say, well, Toronto didn't want you, Winnipeg didn't want you. You know, every guy's got a story. So they're basically the biggest misfits, and all these guys have something to prove. And I've always thought in my own mind, I watched these teams. I knew Winnipeg wasn't going to win. I knew that the Lightning weren't going to win. You just tell by the attitude, the way the guys are playing. The other teams are sacrificing their body. The first one in the corner after the puck, they're banging and thumping and everything else, and they're sacrificing their bodies just to make a play, to whatever they have to do to win. And I didn't see that with Tampa. I didn't see that with Winnipeg the last couple of games. As far as is it good for the league? Sure, it's good for the league. You can take a first-year team, put them in the Stanley Cup Finals. What's that say about the league? It's not diluted, you know. It's not watered down in any way.
Your views, do you think that the owners are happy with this?
A lot of them probably aren't, because they're saying, "What the hell did we let him go for?" You know. Yeah, when you look around and you see, you look at all these guys. Was it Neil is probably the only true goal scorer on that team. They got one other. I can't think of his name.
Marchessault or
yeah, I couldn't name 3 of their players. other than Fleury. You know, I met him in Pittsburgh one time. He's a funny guy. He's a character to have. I know Davey may know him better than me. I just talked to him for maybe 15 minutes. But he's a competitor. Boy, you watch the replays and watching the games he's played that they've won, and this guy is just an acrobat. He does. Geez, I couldn't even pick those pads up, and throw them around like the way he does. But it's good for the league. It just it lets you know that anybody can win. It's not just the elites. Like we played. I go back to we played Montreal. First time I went to Montreal Forum with St. Louis, and you walk in there and your jaw's down to here, and you're just looking around saying, "What am I doing here?" You know, I can't believe that I'm actually in this place. Well, we ended up beating them 2-0 that game, or no, 5-0 in that game. Dryden was the goaltender, and I scored 2 goals. One of them still trying to make the back of the net. But you know, it's an honor, it's a thrill. Just to play in the NHL, to say, you know, geez, I actually made it. You know, and I always thought to myself, you know, my wife says, you know, just remember that pat the back's about that far from a boot in the rear end. And I never thought I was always embarrassed when I get asked for autographs. You mentioned about hockey cards. I get three cards of mine are signed. My 3 kids have them. And the others that are signed are forgeries. I don't sign hockey cards, so I'll sign a picture, I've signed a lot of crazy things. But there's 3 cards that my kids have, and that's the only ones I've signed.
Why you like to do that?
It's just, that's something special for them. They can say, you know, whether they want to or not. I got the only, that's the only card that's signed. You get so many, you just get the mail, and you get Xerox copies of letters from people, and all they want to do is get them and sell them, you know, so I worked too hard to get to where I was. I mean, if somebody took a poll on our junior team of guys to make the NHL, hell, I wouldn't even be listed. You know, they would have said, him? Are you kidding? But I got lucky.
You talked about several of your adversaries that you played against and,
Yep.
And fought. Who did you look over your shoulder for? Was there anybody in the league coming, or that you always had to be aware of who was on the ice?
Never worried about who was on the ice. I said, better them worry about me. Because they had to. I never really looked for it, but what I used to watch for is who's taking the run around or who's taking the runs. We went into Montreal, and Tremblay started doing a lot of running around, and so I went after him. And Larry Robinson skated over to the after whistle, and he says, can you cut the kid a break? I said, well, I'll tell you what, Larry. I said, and I like Larry Robinson, a lot of respect for him, hell of a hockey player, hell of a guy. And I told him, I said, I'll tell you what. I said, you tell him for me that he takes another run at any of our players. I said, I'll put him in the hospital or in his career. And I says, if I got to go through you, so be it. I says, you'll be in the next hospital bed beside him. So, and it calmed him down. But you know, I didn't go running around looking at it or taking cheap shots at you know. I watched that Wilson taking shots at the #1 scorers. Well, hopefully Reeves will take care of him in the next round, because he's playing with dynamite. You're playing with that boy. He's nothing to fool around with. I would fool around.
Bay's always had some good senior hockey, and in the era before you, there were guys who retired, played some senior hockey. Was that ever a consideration for you when you were thinking about retirement from pro hockey?
No, by the time I had my first year in Pittsburgh, I had 2 discs taken out of my neck, separated that shoulder twice, this one once, separated my sternum, got the left knee's bad. It should be fixed, but I'll wait until I can't walk anymore. Right knee's not much better. when I got finished, my body was so beat up that, you know, they had to put out the Bearcats and the four-wheeler Beavers with the two junior, senior clubs back then. I played 3 games with the Put Out the Bearcats when I was playing junior for the Mars, so you get more ice time. Yeah, a lot of guys. Thunder Bay, from what I was told by one of the, oh, he's a politician, so maybe he was lying to me. But Thunder Bay's got one of the highest NHL hockey players per capita in Ontario, in the country almost. A lot of guys, I'm going way back, Penty Lunt, guys like that's well before my time. Rudy Miguet, Pep Whitland, I go back and back and back, and there's just lists of guys that come out of Thunder Bay that's played in the NHL, which surprised me because I'm seeing some. I've ran into some of them at the induction ceremony. Ran into a bunch of these guys, and I said, "Geez, I didn't know you guys lived here." So, anybody else? Yeah.
I just you mentioned earlier Steve Urbano.
Steve Urbano.
And
yeah.
He was well known in Toronto as a tough guy, or a guy that was looking for trouble or whatever. But there definitely there were problems there, whether it was dad or
his
like
dad
that.
traded him. His dad traded him. He says, "How do you like that?" He said, "Your own father trades you." But Derby was one of a kind, and so was his wife.
You got to write that book.
Definitely. My wife is the exact opposite of Lisa Urbano. You don't swear in my house. She'd beat the snot out of me. But no, she's always pretty quiet, so you just don't ever want to get her riled. But Lisa Urbano was gregarious, outgoing. She came from St. Louis. And she said,
No agreement.
"What do you think? I just got them." She had a boob job done in St. Louis, and she was flashing everybody. I want Lisa. I really don't want to know. And her and Derby had some pretty good skirmishes. We were in the bottom of the steel building. We had a team meeting in the bar. Derby was standing there talking to one of the waitresses. I don't know whether he was ordering something. Well, Lisa walked in, saw him, went over, and Derby had a fusion. That's a tube that they glue to your head. She went over and went, she got 2 steps, and he turned around and popped her. Right in the rear end. So, and yet, they came to our house one night, and just after my surgery, had dinner at our place, and my wife told her, she said, "You come to my home." We were in the hotel because there was a trucker strike. My car, all our belongings were in a truck somewhere between St. Louis and Pittsburgh. So we're living in the hotel. Every night there was a game. Lisa would call my wife and come up. So coming up, get her 6-pack of Heineken, and go up and they listen to the game or watch the game together. My wife said, "One thing in my, you watch your mouth." She says, "You swear once and you're out the door." And so they got along great. And so talk about opposites. One time, another time, they were in the apartment, they come over and she threw the keys at him. My wife just looked at him and she said, "You don't do that in my house." And he just backed right off. We had dinner at their place, it was great. My wife's got his recipe, his mother's recipe for spaghetti sauce. It's pretty darn good. So, yes?
You remember Steve Urbano?
Yep.
No, sorry, Connie Madigan.
Connie Madigan from Thunder, Mad Dog Madigan. Yeah.
Did you ever meet him to fight?
No, he's older than me. He's really old. I've met him, I've talked to him, but no, he played in the Western Leagues for him. I never got to play against him.
Archie Henderson told me that Mad Dog was the toughest guy he ever seen on the Bears game.
It could be. He's built like a fire plug. He wasn't a midget. But, yeah, he was a tough guy. Larry Cahan, another guy from the other day, that I don't know where he ever went to, but God, he's a scare guy just stepping on the ice. Anybody else? That's great. Bud done?
Thank you.